Hello and welcome to week 7 in sociology and technology, where we're going to be talking about power and, in essence, electricity, light, power, and all these things, machines and whatnot. And in this chapter, we go through power and electricity, how energy and the transformation of energy into magnifying human power. So, leading right up until the development of machines, the ability for us to manipulate our environment was limited to human power. How much could we lift? How much we could we push, carry? As we started to create machines, taking advantage of physical properties like a fulcrum, but then ultimately moving into creating machines that multiplied human power, where we can move large objects and whatnot, all the way up to today's world where we can transport literally millions of pounds of stuff into space using energy, transformed our world. Really, in terms of what we could build, what we could move, how we could shape our environments, transformed our expectations in society about devices and time-saving devices, things like a laundry machine, or the dishwasher, or the water heater that uses energy to heat our water. But let alone the supply of water that comes. I live in Skowhegan. I'm on city water, so there's an electrical pump somewhere that is pumping water to give me water pressure in my pipes. All of these things, these natural sort of modern day efficiencies that we have because we have harnessed energy. Now, throughout the course book, throughout this chapter, I'm looking at the evolution of different kinds of energy, and it brings us to the first discussion, and that is, and I'm shaping this a little bit, thinking about it, how would losing electricity um, reshape some of the conveniences of your life? You might go on. Maybe you're savvy at, being able to survive without electricity, but what might you miss? Maybe focus on a piece of technology that you would miss, and you'd have to go back to an older piece of technology that doesn't use electricity to do the same thing. And what would you miss in terms of its convenience, and sharing some ideas about that. In the discussion B, I'm actually going to ask you, rather than going into AI, which we're going to go into in another chapter, let's stay within the world of energy, because right now, as we speak, there are dialogues. They're weak, but there are dialogues going on about a return to nuclear power here in the state of Maine. And let's have a discussion about that. Look it up, see where the dialogue is. There are some legislators that would like to see it happen. There's lots of people against it. What are your views on nuclear power? Return to Maine. We lost Maine Yankee quite a long time ago. Is it something that we want to invest in again? So that second discussion focusing on that. And then finally, we look at two questions related, similar to the first discussion, about how energy has created our norms, our expectations related to travel, the production of goods, how readily available goods are to us. I mean, I go over to Hannaford and I can get Florida oranges that were just in Florida the other day. And it's energy that produces that. You need energy to be able to get those oranges and move them safely all the way to Skowhegan, Maine. Now I have pretty high expectations for my oranges. Well, going to restaurants or cars, petroleum products like plastics and whatnot. How do those shape who you are as an individual? Remember that culture exists much the way in which the analogy I use, it's like water to fish. It's everything. It's embedded in them. In fact, I'm quite sure that fish are not even aware of the water around them. It is so all-encompassing that it's simply the world in which they live. And much of our technology, very related in this case to energy, has become such a ubiquitous part of our lives that it's almost incomprehensible to think of a life where we can imagine it because we're intelligent, but we've never had a life without some of these technologies. So imagining how that has created who you are, and as a result of that, adds to a degree of ethnocentricity, meaning the ethnocentricity is a bias that exists within all of us, where we perceive our own cultural values, norms, and expectations to be superior. They work for me, they're the ones I'm comfortable with. We might not shame other people for not having the same culture as we do, but we have a sense that ours is the one that seems to work best. And we may advocate for it, even while at the same time appreciating different cultures. So to what degree does our connection to the products of energy create an identity, and thus also creates a sense of ethnocentrism, of superiority in that identity? Perfectly okay conversation to have about this. I mean, certainly I have a car that I drive around, and I think having a car is a really cool thing. And I think it's an advantageous piece of technology, deeply connected to our energy system, both in the creation of the car and the running of the car. But it allows me to do so much more in my life that I enjoy, that I think it just, having cars makes life better. It's as simple as that. So pick whatever technology that you want to look at and how it embodies a part of your identity and also creates a sense of ethnocentrism. That's what we have for this week. I will see you in the discussions. Should be an interesting discussion here on nuclear power. There's 2 discussions, 1 quiz for this week. So make sure you participate in both of those discussions. Take care, have a great week, and I'll see you online.